Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining us. Please be seated. And I trust while you've been waiting, you've had a moment to reflect on our acknowledgement to our friends and neighbors at the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam Nations. And Councillor Snyder is joining us remotely from the Sunshine Coast, and he actually looks like he's got sun up there. Wow. So we're going to run through our special council meeting first and then move to the public hearing. I'll call the council meeting to order. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Lambert, please. Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, question, all in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you. Bylaws. Item number 3, this is for the Inglewood Care Center that came forward to council in a public hearing last week. I'll ask Councillor Gambioli.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'll start by making the first motion, which is that the proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985, 2018, amendment bylaw number 5460, 2026 be read a second and third time.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Second that.
Is there any discussion? Councillor Lambert. Oh, sorry. Was Councillor Gambioli first?
I'm going to speak after the next one.
Okay. Councillor Lambert, please.
Thank you, Mayor Sager. Yeah, I'd like to begin by, acknowledging the overwhelmingly positive response to this project. It's unlike anything that I've seen in my tenure on council, which is to say it's effectively unanimous support for publicly funded long-term beds, even from residents who will be directly impacted by the construction of the project. To me, this is a remarkable show of community support for our seniors, who, as many who spoke at the public hearing noted, are a dominant and growing demographic cohort. This is who we are. Our seniors are integral to our community life, and the Baptist Project helps fill a significant shortfall in long-term care beds and includes the more affordable seniors housing and independent living options in future phases of the site development. The expectations are high, but this yet is not enough. The first speaker at last week's public hearing referred to the Baptist Project as part of our social infrastructure, and she wasn't wrong in that assessment. Our community is, on the surface, well endowed with facilities and resources to enable our seniors to age in place. And a new senior center is in the planning stages, which holds the promise of supporting the ability of our growing seniors population to thrive in and contribute to their community. But again, this is not enough. Funding right now at all levels of government is scarce while the need grows. And this has been recognized by the SAC Advisory Board through its advocacy of health and wellness programs, landmark initiatives like Feed the Need, and the efforts of their outreach committee. So to this end, and building on the momentum of the Inglewood Care Center redevelopment, it's my intention to bring forward a notice of motion at an upcoming regular council meeting to establish West Vancouver's first Committee on Aging. The first priority of this committee will be to establish a comprehensive age-friendly strategy aligned with council's strategic plan. It is contemplated that this committee will work closely with council to advocate for seniors with senior levels of government and health authorities and engage in evidence-based planning to improve the quality of our seniors' lives. And I'm hopeful I will have the support of my council colleagues for this long overdue initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lambert. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for Mayor Sager, actually, for bringing this forward, for advocating to get this on before summer session and closes. And I want to pay my respects to Councillors Cassidy and Lambert, who took some extraordinary steps, as most people in this room know, during the May 25th meeting. And when they left and there was no quorum, Myself and Councillor Thompson were away both on well-planned, planned ahead vacations. Mine was a family vacation. I had a difficult year and where I really came to understand the need for long-term care. So my apologies for missing the two meetings before it came back again to the public hearing. And I need to say this publicly, they didn't walk out for a lack of care or respect for Inglewood housing or for a lack of comprehension of the extreme necessity of this. They just wanted to ensure we were all at the table. And again, we got to this place, it was a little bit clunky, but here we are. And again, I have extreme gratitude also to Mayor Sager for pushing it forward so that we can ensure that this is done on our term.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. I'd just like to give Councillor Snyder an opportunity. He is kindly joining us from a well-deserved break in case he wants to add any comments, because I think he feels quite strongly about this.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor Sager. You can hear me okay?
Yes, you can. Thanks.
Okay. So I don't want to go on at length because my Zooming situation, I'm sorry I'm out of town, but also a pre-planned trip before we had the public hearing and the special council meeting called. So I wanted to thank everybody that reached out to everybody, to Mayor and Council during this whole process. We received a lot of feedback. Again, overwhelmingly supportive of the development. I know that no development is going to be absolutely perfect, but I think under the circumstances, this really does nail a lot of the needs and wants of the community. So I really don't have a whole lot more to say than that, other than I think this is a great opportunity moving forward for the community.
Thank you. Any other member of council? Well, this is a significant step, and I'll call the question. All those in favor? This motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, members of council. I agree. Councillor Gambioli, the next motion, please.
So I'll recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5461, 2026 be read a second and third time.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
Second.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli.
And so I will make a few statements at this point. So again, thanks to everyone who gave us feedback. It was a lot of people in terms of what we often receive. But for those of you who weren't here, just to summarize a few things, that the traffic engineers have studied this proposal and indicate that there will be no noticeable impact at Taylor Way and Inglewood at full build out, which won't be until 2034. There will be a number of public realm improvements for this project on Burleigh Avenue, on Inglewood and Taylor Way. So that will be good for all of us. Of course, this proposal supports our OCP plan, which is already in place. And it was supported by the majority, as Councillor Lambert indicated, of people who sent us feedback and who spoke, including our own planning committee, including Vancouver Coastal Health, who wrote us a letter, including 6 other significant organizations, including our own member of parliament who strongly supports it, including the seniors advocate who said that this project is not optional, it is essential, including 3 MLAs, including a retired MLA, and who discussed the fact that 7 planned care homes in the province are delayed. So this is actually a really rare opportunity because Baptist Housing is supporting this project. They are a very high caliber nonprofit organization. My own personal little story is that my sister-in-law's brother was at the Inglewood Center for a number of years. And before Baptist came to manage that facility, it was not great, according to her. And she said it was like day and night when Baptist came in. It was such an improvement that she could not believe it. So, you know, that we've all had, I think, heard really good things about Baptist. And I think that they will, you know, we have to trust them to do the best they can for the people who are living there. And of course, everyone who will come later. There is some concern around the families who live in the very close neighborhood because there's going to be a number of years of building. And I think we have to trust the proponents to do the best they can. But it will be tough when big developments like this are happening. It's not pretty. It's annoying with traffic and noise, but everybody has to just, cross their fingers and wait, because once it's done, it will be able to be there for many, many decades, and it will really help our community. So I think that in 2035, those of us who have voted for this and supported it in the community will go by that location and say, thank goodness we decided to approve this proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I think seconding this shows my strong support for the project. And I agree with a lot of what's been said by my fellow colleagues, including the respect for Councillor Cassidy and Lambert for doing what they felt they needed to do. For me, it was really great. It was a very uplifting public hearing and reassuring to know that the comments that came forward were so substantial and had great integrity. And it was just great to hear from our community and all the other experts and supporters around the operations. I don't think anyone can disagree with the addition of care beds, long-term care beds. That's just phenomenal. And personally, I'm really excited about the independent living and the way we're going in the realm of care in people in their homes and keeping them there. I think that is going to be a high demand project. And as we move through the development, hopefully we can assess it in 3 years' time and figure out what the best build out would be for that site. And just because I mentioned it, I just want to speak briefly to the bike lane. I did question, when we should be putting it in, or if we should be putting in. And it's merely to raise the attention of if we're going to put in bike lanes, let's do it right, in the right places, in the right way. And actually, just this morning, I was listening to a program where they're talking about the increased conflict between multimodal transportation, because we've got recreation cyclists, we've got people that really want to get somewhere, and all the e-vehicles that can achieve great speeds, and it can cause a lot of conflict around these sites. So I just wanted to reinforce that we need, if we're going to do active transportation around this project, let's really give it some good solid thought and create safety and do it right.
Thank you. Councillor Watt, please.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I've got just another couple of comments, and I couldn't agree more with pretty much all of the comments made around this table. And there's just one other final piece that I want to add to this. While it's important to have these care beds for the patients, anybody in this room, your life can change in a heartbeat. And it's not just about the care beds, it's about the caregivers. And somebody touched on this in the public hearing. I can't remember the exact wording, but about the being a sole caregiver and what it does. And you go in without having a clue how to do it. And the more beds we have, the fewer vulnerable people will be left at home as well, caring for somebody who desperately needs a bed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy, please.
I have nothing to add to all the eloquent and heartfelt comments made by my fellow councillors, but I just have one comment to make, practical one, regarding the bike lanes. Wouldn't it be nice to have a bike lane along Burley Drive and down 11th so people can get to Ambleside Beach, or if they want, go behind Park Royal Apartments and get down that way to Park Royal, if that's their location of choice, rather than going immediately down the rather busy Taylor Way. That was my only comment. Thank you.
Well, and just on that, certainly the people on Burley Drive are the most affected. And we are beginning work this fall on a local area plan for the Park Royal neighborhood for Taylor Way. And the people who live there have every right to expect that we will pay close attention to how we can improve their neighborhood. I think that's only fair.
Lane would be a good addition, both to Burley Drive and to the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert, please.
Thank you, Mayor Sager. To Councillor Gambioli's point about community impacts, one of the things that we do with large projects is we do a construction management, or rather staff does a construction management plan, or this thing is stuck here. It doesn't move. It's Velcroed down. Sorry about that. My microphone was distant from me. But what I was saying was that we do have a construction management plan that that is assembled for large projects. And it would be a good idea to involve the residents in that plan, or certainly to consult with them. That would be an expectation to help mitigate or reduce the impacts over the long construction period. And as Mayor Sager mentioned, there is the matter of the Taylor Way local area plan. And there is the opportunity with the approval of this project, I believe, to, consider the design of the interface of the public realm components of the Taylor Way plan with this project. And I hope that we'll be working with Baptist Housing towards those common goals. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Councillor Gambioli, please.
I forgot that my last comment was that look forward to seeing the solar panels on this proposal. We are, 2026, by the time it's done, that should be a no-brainer.
Hear, hear. Hearing no further discussion, I'm going to call a question. All in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. The next motion, please.
And the proposed phased development agreement authorization bylaw number 5462, 2026 be read a second and third time.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
second that.
Discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. And finally, and I'd just like on this next, the development cost charge waiver. We'll, I hope, move second and third reading tonight. There is word that the province may and the feds may come in. And in the next week, I hope to reach out to the minister and see whether they'll honor their commitment and assist in paying this development cost charge, because we do want to see it waived for this project. And their help would be much appreciated. Councillor Gambioli, please.
Recommend that proposed development cost charges waiver bylaw number 5463, 2026 be read a second and third time.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. I'd like to congratulate the Baptist Housing Society, and I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you because throughout this process, I heard, as I think most members of council did, from so many people that have told us what an outstanding job you're doing, taking care of people in that facility. And we're grateful for that care and attention. So thank you. We'll move to the next item. Councillor, this is a final adoption on a little project on Bruce Street. Councillor Watt.
Yep, I would like to, my eyes aren't working properly right now. Sorry, I'd like to recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5455, 2026 be adopted.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy. Discussion, we'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. Item number 5. Thank you, Councillor Stein.
We're not quite done.
Oh, right. Sorry, there's a
Yeah.
second motion. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to recommend that proposed development permit number 24075 be approved.
Thank you. Thank you. Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. And Ms. McGuire, you have a quick presentation for us because I'm anxious to get on with the public hearing.
But this is the first time staff's presenting on this, so we'll just share the presentation here. The applicant, I should just say, also does have a short presentation following the staff one as well. Oh,
Yeah, can we just
pardon
turn
me.
the volume up a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Sorry, I
Thanks.
just needed it a bit closer. I was just saying that the applicant also has a short presentation following the staff one too for this one. So good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the public. For consideration at tonight's council meeting is a proposed development permit for a site in the Panorama neighborhood above the Upper Levels Highway. Here you can see the sites that are included with the development permit outlined in purple there. So the 4 sites in the eastern portion of the site are owned by Brivia, a development company, and those are zoned RS7. They're approximately 9 acres in size in total, and all 4 lots they're quite large lots, obviously. They're undeveloped, and they include those road allowances you can see on the screen here that bisect the site. That includes unopened portions of Wentworth Avenue and then 25th Street right-of-ways. The development permit does also include the Collingwood School Wentworth campus. You can see that's the westernmost parcel. The reason that's included in the development permit is part of the development is proposing a new northern road access that would access the Brivia lands. And so that's why it's included in the development permit. Just also noting that the Collingwood School campus is zoned PA1. It includes the junior school site, and it's just approximately 6.2 acres in size. Directly to the south of the Collingwood School campus, there is also a portion of Wentworth Avenue that's unopened road allowance as well. And that's just important for later in the presentation. One other thing to note about the Brivia lands is that the parcel at 2480 Wentworth includes a fairly significant piece of the Mar Creek Ravine riparian area. So for the Brivia lands, the proposal, what the development permit that's for consideration for council tonight would allow for is it would enable subdivision into 31 single family parcels. And you can see a diagram showing the configuration of that 31 lot subdivision here. That's not, as I said, it's subject to a development permit. It doesn't require rezoning for enabling the subdivision. The lots do range in size, noting that all lots meet the minimum size requirement for the RS7 zoning. There's also a significant park dedication proposed as part of the development permit. And you can see that area of the site, that's the Mar Creek riparian area outlined in red there. It's approximately 4,100 square meters in size. And you can see here on the diagram, there's also new district roads that are proposed as part of the proposal that would access the 31 lots. And with those would include new sidewalks, street parking, lighting, and landscaping. And then one other final piece about the overall proposal is the project includes new trail connections. So you can see those, they're in the sort of thin brown lines on the site. There's one trail connection to the south leading to the 25th Street right of way. And then 2 connections to the north, one towards the Wentworth campus, and then one towards the Mar Creek Ravine area that provides access to the neighborhood to the north. So all of the sites are subject to the district's future neighborhoods and wildfire hazard development permit areas. Council's consideration tonight is limited to the future neighborhoods development permit. And if council approved the development permit, then a wildfire development permit would be required subsequently that's delegated to staff prior to final subdivision approval. Generally, for future neighborhoods, the objectives of that development permit area is for protection of the natural environment and protection of development from hazardous conditions or steep slope sites. So this just shows the existing current road configuration. So you can see the Collingwood lands in pink there, and then the Brivia lands in blue. And as I said before, currently Collingwood includes road access from chairlift from the Wentworth Avenue Road that is open for the portion that gives access to the Collingwood school site. Then there are those unopened portions of Wentworth and 25th Street that bisect the site. So overall, as I said, with the proposal, you can see for the Collingwood lands, there's that proposed new dedicated district road providing a northern road access to the Brivia lands, and then leading to the new dedicated roads on the Brivia lands. If council approved the development permit, this would require future steps that would be subject to council consideration. So that would include closure of those portions of unopened road on Wentworth and 25th, as well as a road exchange with Collingwood that would require subsequent steps if council approves the development permit. This just provides a summary of the relevant development permit guidelines. And given we're trying to be quick here, I'll just say that council has reviewed the project, or sorry, staff has reviewed the project against the relevant guidelines, and it is consistent with those. The 31 lot subdivision is requesting some zoning variances, and that's just for the configuration and layout of the proposed subdivision. So that includes for site width and depth, as well as side yard setbacks, noting that we did look at the building envelopes, and they do all provide adequate building envelopes, and then sufficient frontage and functional yard space to accommodate typical single-family development. And just finally noting what I said before is that the lots all do meet the minimum site size for the RS7 zoning. The applicant did host a public meeting some time ago now in September of 2024. Noting that comments were, there is a report submitted by the applicant that's appended to the staff report. So there were some comments in support, noting the benefit that the northern road access would provide by separating the school use from the 31 lot subdivision. But most of the concerns did focus on traffic congestion, specifically associated with pickup and drop off activities with the school. And I guess I should just say that that is in staff's mind significantly improved with that northern road access to basically separate the residential access from the school access. So to conclude, we are recommending that council approve the development permit, as in staff's assessment, it is consistent with the development permit guidelines. So thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Can I just ask on the sequencing of this? So if the development permit is approved, shouldn't we be doing the road dedications first? I mean,
When we looked at it with our manager of facilities and manager who's dealing with the road exchange, we did look at that in terms of the sequence and felt that council should really consider the development proposal first before considering the road closure, which would result in the road exchange with Collingwood, to go through it kind of step by step. It could have been done in theory concurrently, but just given that the development permit basically enables the 31 lot subdivision, and thinking it through in terms of the sequencing, that was the steps that we.
I'm just hoping that, you know, we approve a development permit that can't actually happen without the road. Mr. Bailey,
Well, and through the mayor, I mean, we still also have to go through the subdivision process as well, right? So the development permit puts conditions on the land relative to the guidelines. That's around sort of the steep slope, the wildfire. The approving officer still has to approve the subdivision, and we'll do that concurrently and expeditiously with the road closure.
because, you know, the advantage to this road configuration, I mean, it's all fine for Riverview, but it's really critical for Collingwood for their future plans that this road exchange take place, and I'm strongly supportive of that. So.
Yeah, through the mayor, we are aware of that, and we think there's, you know, fairly significant public interest in the northern road access and making this happen. So we're on that and working to make that happen as quickly as possible.
I see. Thank you, Councillor Gambioli.
Just a question, is there not a financial implication in terms of this for the district?
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, I mean, with the significant park dedication, that is an in-kind dedication of land that the district would receive through the development permit. But with a development permit that's zoning compliant, we wouldn't have, there would be DCCs, I should say, development cost charges that would be applicable for the 31
No, but
subdivision.
sorry, but there are revenue funds that come to the district from the road exchange.
Yes, through the mayor, yeah, there are funds that will come when we sell the land, that will accrue to the district. That's a separate process. There are DCCs, there are building permit fees that are also applicable. But as Ms. McGuire was saying, as this is a rezoning, there's no community amenity contribution associated with this. It's zoning compliant. Council's role in this at this point is just to merely apply the development permit guidelines to any future subdivision.
Okay. Okay. If there can be a quick presentation from the applicant, oh, sorry. Because I'm conscious of the fact, I think most people here tonight are on the public hearing matter, so. Is there anybody who wishes to speak to council on this? If
There's no one that's signed up for this item as of yet, no.
It's right there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I understood from Michelle, I have only 10 minutes, which is a massive relief because if I had to go through the history of the site, we'd be here till 2036. I was going to go through a number of points, but Michelle has made them all. So I think to speed things up, I'm here to answer any questions.
Yeah, I think this is pretty clear to members of council, and I think members of council are aware of the history of the property and the challenges that it's faced over the years. Are there any questions? Councillor Lambert, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Sager. My issue and my concern with the project is the park dedication. The lands that are being reserved or outlined for park are lands that aren't developable per se, and don't provide standard park space as is contemplated in plans of subdivision. It would be more useful to the subdivision if there was actual contiguous flat land, parkland that was available. And in lieu of that, because that would take away from the unit yield of the thing, cash in lieu. But I just have a hard time. I can't accept the parkland as proposed as a suitable dedication in this case. It's if the argument is that it's protecting the ravine will be protected anyhow because it's not going to be built upon, and it's a kind of a belt and suspenders situation. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Councillor Lambert. Councillor Cassidy, please.
I would concur with Councillor Lambert. I walked this property a few years ago and saw exactly the quality, shall we say, the topography and its distance from the ravine, from the creek. And I would agree with him. I mean, it's a natural setting and it's not really suitable as what one would term as parkland. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of council for a motion, Councillor Thompson? And I think the disadvantage I understand why we're doing it in this process, but not having the financial implications because it is quite significant. The layout of this subdivision results in value coming to the municipality. Mr. Bailey, can you help with that at all? I mean, I don't know whether we're at liberty to say what at this stage or whether that comes later.
Through the mayor, it can come later. I mean, I can say that with any process where we're disposing of municipal land, we're looking at fair market value of that land. So you're quite right. You know, the public in West Vancouver is receiving what I think is significant value for those land, fair market value for those lands. And that will be reported out in due course when that exchange completes.
I think it would actually give comfort to our colleagues on council, but I understand why we're going this process. So I'm going to ask Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I'm happy to, but I just wanted to be clear. I'm not sure if your question answers my question. With the concerns around the parkland dedication versus another value, that is something that we can work on down the road. This is not what we're deciding on tonight.
Through the mayor, the park dedication question is a separate question. So that's in response to that question, that concern, it is council's policy to acquire lands in what we would consider ecologically sensitive areas. Mark Creek Ravine certainly meets that threshold, hence the reason for parkland dedication. And you see that in a number of places in the municipality, in the upper lands and in our normal subdivision. So that's standard policy, standard practice. The disposition comes from the road exchange and the cash associated with that, and we'll be reporting out on that in due course.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this has come forward in a different way than I expected, but I think we're working towards a good solution. So I'm happy to make the motion that all written, am I right? Yes, that all written and oral submissions regarding development permit 22037 for lots B and C and 2480, 2510 and 2605 Wentworth Avenue up to and including the council meeting held on July 29th, 2026 be received for information.
Okay. I'll ask for a seconder on that and then we'll do a subsequent motion. Councillor Watt.
Do share in the concerns that have been voiced here at the table. So we're receiving that for information. And I'm,
Well,
yeah.
that's the second motion. If we
Yeah.
can, we'll call the question on the first. All in favor? Contrary carried, and now a subsequent motion.
yeah.
So I will recommend that staff report back to council regarding submissions received on June 29th, 2026 council meeting to allow council to make determination proposed development permit 22037 for lots B and C and 24.
I'm sorry, I was under the impression you were wanting to make a motion to approve the
I
development. permit.
thought
Is
you
that
were
correct?
making the.
I'm sorry, that's the second one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was the first. Okay. Excuse me, I'll start again. That proposed development permit 22037 for lots B and C, 2480, 2510, and 2605 Wentworth Avenue, which would allow for the subdivisions of lots B and C and 2480 and 2510 Wentworth Avenue into 31 lots, and the creation of a new district road within the Collingwood School Wentworth Campus Site 2605 Wentworth Avenue to provide access to the proposed 31 lots be approved.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Yeah, I'm still reeling and going back to,
Second, that's moved.
yeah,
and
somebody
seconded.
else. Thank you.
Okay. I think it will all become clear in the process. That this is the beginning of a process. This is not the end of the process. There will be the road closures. Councillor Lambert.
So just for clarification, is there an opportunity to reconsider the parkland dedication
That's it. Yeah.
going forward?
Mr. Bailey?
Through the mayor, I mean, I think that would be a fairly significant departure from the terms that the applicant is considering. So what I understand you're looking at, Councillor Lambert, is instead of taking the parkland, you'd rather that just be retained in private ownership and that the district would take cash in lieu for that component?
That's what I'm thinking, yes.
Okay, so I think that, you know, I don't know if the applicant wishes to speak to that, but I think that is a departure from what's being proposed here.
Yeah, I appreciate that it is a departure from standard or what has been standard planning department practice to date, but stand behind that just the same. And I do have, it's kind of a related question. Should this go ahead into a 31 lot subdivision? How does the new provincial legislation impact that? I mean, given that we have Bill 25 and you can put 4 units on any single family lot, does this turn this into a 120, potentially 120 lot?
Yep, I
development?
expect that it would.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
if the provincial legislation goes through, and if
Yeah.
that's every single family lot in West Vancouver.
Yeah.
In the
Thank you.
province of British Columbia.
Oh, boy.
Okay, Councillor Gambiel.
How many lots were there prior to this, the other arrangement?
Sorry, in which other arrangement do you mean? In what?
How many single family lots were envisioned prior to, I mean, at the moment?
There's currently 4 lots. There's currently 4 large lots on the site.
But
But-
the other large site has been
27.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry,
Thank you.
27.
27. Yeah, so we're going from 27 to 31. It's currently 27,
Sir,
apparently.
the
not.
applicant has a comment to that.
Can I go back? Yeah.
I think the fundamental issue is that the current
We should.
bylaws allow this land to be subdivided.
But how can I get back?
But it will it's a bad layout and it would interfere with the future use of the Collingwood school lands.
Yeah,
And
through the mayor, just-
it's a very unattractive subdivision if they just came in and did what they can do under the existing zoning bylaws. Mr. Bailey, have I got that right?
Through the mayor, they are generally complying with zoning. There are some variances to site width that staff think make the project better, create for improvements in layout and structure and streets and slopes and those sorts of things. Council's role in this tonight is to review and assess whether or not the development permit guidelines around wildfire natural environment apply to this site? We think very clearly that they do. If council doesn't think that, then you should say so. And kind of give reasons as to why you don't think so. It's the approving officer's job then to do the subdivision and make whatever requirements are required as part of the subdivision. Our typical policy what the approving officer would do in a situation is normally apply the park in lieu, or sorry, the park dedication as opposed to the cash in lieu. And we think that this project is consistent with that. Council could say, hey, we don't want to do that. We want to take cash as opposed to the park. That's certainly, I think, within your purview. But we think you're consistent with policy. We think this provides for a better site. We think that it's better for Collingwood School and that whole subdivision and layout. So that hence the reason for our recommendation.
Just wanted to make a correction here. It's 30 lots that we're able to achieve with and it's the one on the left-hand side, not 27. So there's one additional lot.
Right. Okay, Councillor Cassidy.
Sh-
Oh, sorry, Councillor Watt, then Councillor Cassidy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, in looking at this project, I haven't been uncomfortable about the road, the subdivision, but around this table, the dialogue right now about as Councillor Lambert has highlighted in particular, it is a little bit uncomfortable given that these lands would have to be protected regardless. So this is a.
Okay, Councillor Cassidy, please.
So should we elect to go for cash in lieu of protection? Can these lots be developed in the future?
Through the mayor, yes, they could. I mean, what you would be doing is essentially instead of the applicant giving that area that you can see on the screen there is to be dedicated as park, it's very faint. That would be retained in private ownership. And we would take cash in lieu, some value to be determined for those lands. And the owner would obviously have to be agreeable as part of that process.
All right, but again, they're in the private ownership, but under those terms of private ownership, would the owner have the right to develop those lands at some point in the future?
Through the mayor, not necessarily. That is within a riparian zone, and much of those lands would be protected under riparian regulations. The floor space associated with that could go and create, larger houses on the site because obviously you'd have more floor space, and there could be some limited incursions into that zone for some forms of development. But we'd have to do an analysis of that. Again, staff think your policy is pretty clear that where there's sort of things like this, where there's riparian zones like Mark Creek, they are to be sort of dedicated as park in public ownership to protect those lands.
All right, so technically speaking, we have under our riparian zone issue, control of those lands anyway. They're undevelopable. Is that what I'm hearing?
They're not undevelopable, but their developability is influenced by the regulations that apply. So I'm not saying that nothing could happen. I'm saying that something likely could happen. They couldn't put, structures and houses down into the riparian zone, but they could likely have some, incursions into that area.
All right, such as?
Well, such as paths, such as maybe accessory buildings. They would have to go through an analysis and come forward with an application on that.
All right, but the size of an accessory building, I believe, is 400 square feet?
Well, through the mayor, I think the intent here, again, is you're right, that there would be limited development in that zone anyways. I think that's the whole argument that Councillor Lambert is making.
Mm-hmm.
And this, again, is a council policy that talks about acquiring lands for park in and around riparian zones and in ecological areas to protect them. Yes, there are other mechanisms to protect them. And if council wanted to go that way, we should be communicating that back to the applicant and having a discussion about that with the applicant.
And tonight, the point, we can discuss it, or would that be done at a later date?
I think it would be done. I think council should not approve the development permit, and we should go back and have a discussion and come back with a revised development permit.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Oh.
Yes.
We're unfortunately not in a position to go with the alternative of cash in lieu for the park. There's a number of reasons, and unfortunately, we're not in a position to go down that route.
Okay. Councillor Cassidy.
So, sir, it's not my business that I recognize, which is unusual, for me to ask you your financial situation, but you're about to sell 31 lots. So I should think, I'm not saying you're running to the bank with glee, but I should say that there should be sufficient spare cash to facilitate our agreement of the sale of your 31 lots.
It's not a question of cash.
I think the equation, the piece of the equation that's missing here is how much they've agreed to pay for the roads. That's the piece of the equation.
All right. So instead of cash, could you contemplate turning a couple of those lots over to the district? And then we in turn could sell them for cash.
No, there is another layout that we could have done, and we would have done, but we went down the road working with staff where we've gotten to now. But there was a scenario where there could have been 3 lots that the city could have sold. We could have done the layout without using the city's land. But as I said at the start, we've been at this 10 years. We're at the end of our rope in terms of we've got an agreement for the purchase of the land, pending approvals, and we're just not prepared to go back to the drawing board again. We've been back to the drawing board, I think, 5 times on this project.
Okay, but sitting on those lands for the last 10 years really hasn't cost you anything in terms of cash.
It has cost a lot, yeah. We have loans against the land, and you're paying interest every month on those loans, so yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
I just want to say, I think it's really interesting that Councillor Lambert has identified this as an issue and council shares those concerns. But considering the iterations that have come forward in the past, in our time, I think we would, I just think it's important that we do move forward with this project for a lot of good reasons. It's my personal opinion, but you're not going to get any lighter density there than this project permits, and it's located near a school zone and provides a better opportunity for the school. So I just want to put out that to my council colleagues.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind, this is a better layout than is permissible under the existing zoning where they don't need to come to council. No doubt, this is a superior layout. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, question to Mr. Bailey. So should the provincial government remain in power and, and all of these housing mandates remain intact, do we have the necessary infrastructure up there should this become 124 units or whatever the number would be?
Through the mayor, yes, we do.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, if this is a divided vote, I'm looking for Councillor Snyder, and I think we might have lost him on this call. And I know he's very much in favor of this development. So I wonder if I should go and try and get him back online, because can I, sorry, Councillor Gambioli is suggesting, I think it's wise that we do a straw poll before I call the question. A straw poll, out of respect to the member of council who, for whatever reason, has dropped off and would like to participate in this vote. Okay, can I have a straw poll, members of council? Should I get? Okay. Sorry, this is a little unusual, but this happens from time to time, so. Oh, that's not a conflict. No, this is. I'm calling a straw poll. Those who will be in favor of this, can you give me a little indication? All right, okay, all right, the motion is to approve it, and it is, and again, this has been around since the beginning of this term. The layout that they have proposed is significantly better. It assists Collingwood in its redevelopment. There, members of the public will see the cash that will come to the municipality in consideration of the road redesign. And I'm sorry that isn't tonight because it would be quite clear. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Contrary? The motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, consent agenda, Councillor Gambioli.
Yes, I will recommend the consent agenda items as follows be approved. Item 6.1, item 6.2 as written.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert, second. All those in favor? Contrary, carried. We are going to move to the public. I'll just ask, is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to something that is not part of the public hearing tonight?
We have a few names on the speakers list here. Mayor Sager, they did sign up for public questions and comments. The first name is Ismail Baku, followed by Joe Spears, followed by, I believe it says Arvind Thalak.
Okay,
But Arvind Thalak did not indicate an item number. I'm assuming it's for public questions and comments. We'll find out. First speaker, Ismail Baku.
good evening, sir. Thanks for joining
Good
us.
evening, Mr. Dave.
And
Mayor,
just so I'm clear, you're speaking of something, we're doing a public hearing.
Yes.
That's going to come up next.
Oh, next.
Is that
That's
what you're
okay.
wishing to speak to?
You called me.
For public questions and comments on an unrelated
No,
matter.
no,
Is that
go
correct?
ahead, sir. We'll know quickly if it's.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ismail Baku. I live on the 14th and the Duchess. On June the 4th, there was a meeting in the library by Miss Jessica Garrett. She used to be a member of the community related to housing issue. She had traveled in 3 different cities in 3 different countries, and so that to see how housing is different from, let us say, homes. In other words, housing on one hand and home. It was very informative, at least to me, and the attendance was very good. At the end of the meeting, I got up and asked if there were anyone from our council members or the staff. I know you guys are very busy, and nobody raised their hand. I wish there was at least somebody hearing what Ms. Garrett had to say, what was her research about, how to differentiate between housing and homes. Basically, homes relate to people and the community. Housing is someplace that you just live by yourself or with whoever. So the idea is that how we can resolve the idea according to this book. And the title of the book is The No Place Like Home.
Sounds like a great book.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So the idea is that what are other countries, other cities, they have addressed the housing crisis, the shortage of housing, with building communities. I thought it was very interesting connection. And they are different housing strategy. It doesn't necessarily mean high rises and towers. So I thought that to come and mention this book, and I hope that you will, or your staff will have a chance to take a look at the book, and maybe we can learn something from that.
Well, sir, it's incredibly kind of you to take your time out of your life to come and share that with us. And I'm sorry, I think probably there would have been a number of us, if we had heard about this, that would have attended, but that is, but thank you, sir. And we'll look up the book. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And the next speaker, please.
Next speaker on the list is Joe Spears. I believe the last name is Spears. I may be misreading.
Yes.
Mr. Spears,
Thank you.
thanks for joining us.
Mayor,
Mr. Spears, thanks for coming.
councilors, I'm a longtime resident of West Vancouver. And I'm here tonight to talk about some important issues that have come up and it's come to my attention. I last Friday attended a wellness clinic where I learned that the West Van Fire Department won't respond to a particular residence on Bellevue, 6288. And it caused me great concern, as well as they assumed that they would take a defensive fire position. We're talking about climate change. We're talking about the safety of the community. And
Can I just interrupt
Yep.
quickly? I'm trying to place that address. You said
6288, it's a Dr. Estes residence. And in the documents here, you can't talk about.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
You're referring to, you said 62, you mean 26.
26, I'm
Got it.
dyslexic, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
It caused me great concern, and I wanted to come here tonight. I know you're busy. You've got a public hearing. You've got the minister, you've got the prime minister talking about land use. We've got Christine Boyle, causing great concern in the province about this great town, this city, this district that we live in. And I wanted to bring to your attention what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. The district is bringing a court application to enforce an order to tear down a house on the water. And I'm going to be intervening in that case because I think we need to really look at this issue. And again, in your comments, you can't talk about cases, but I want to talk about governance in the future. And I've only got 2 minutes and I've used up a minute. There's a lot of issues here that the council need to look at because moving forward, we need to look at how we govern this community. And we need to look at this in the light of forward looking. And I submit to you, and we're opening, I'm going to start a podcast, West Vancouver Live, to deal with some of these issues because there's a lot of interest in the community. We've got climate change. We've got all kinds of issues. We've got basically leading the world in a blue economy. You've got, there's a lot of good things happening here. And I don't want to see this tainted because this lawsuit will address a lot of these issues. And it's very simple to stand back and look at it. But I want to just raise a couple of points.
That's your time, sir.
What's that? Okay. I want to raise a couple of points here looking forward. We need to have a council that looks at, will you commit to looking at litigation governance when you have particular cases? I mean,
So, Mr. Spears,
Yeah.
can you help me out? We have a public hearing now
Yeah.
and we've gone over the 3 minutes. I hate interrupting people when they've got thoughts. Would you be willing to stay and talk after this meeting?
I would love to stay and talk,
Okay.
and we've got a date coming up in October and I'll be running. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for mayor, and I know I can't talk about that, but these are important issues, and sometimes you have to stand up for some of these issues. And I
Sure.
love this community.
Okay,
And
let's,
I'll stand down and we can talk a little bit later.
thank you, sir. Okay, we'll go to the next speaker, please.
Thank you, Mayor Sager. The final name on this special meeting list is Arvind Thalak. I may have mispronounced the last name. It could be on the wrong list. There's no item listed beside it. Is it for the public hearing, sir? Or
Yes.
okay, then that'll come later. So we're not at
Yeah, the public
yet.
hearing's next.
You were just
sir.
on the wrong list. I'll put your name on the other list.
Thank you, sir. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the council meeting, please, Councillor Cassidy?
Yes, thank you. I recommend that the June 29, 2026 special council meeting be adjourned.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Call the question. All in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks very much. And everyone who has come for the public hearing, thank you for your patience. We'll now ask our corporate officers to I'll call to order the public hearing and ask for the legalities to be read.
Thank you, Mayor Sager. Council is convening this public hearing tonight to consider and receive submissions regarding proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985, 2018, amendment bylaw number 5465, 2026, and regarding proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5466, 2026 for 1552 Esquimalt Avenue. A public meeting will be held concurrently with the public hearing to receive submissions regarding proposed development permit 26-12 for the same address, 1552 Esquimalt. Anyone who believes their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaws and the proposed development permit will be heard and or may provide a written submission either in person or via email to correspondence@westvancouver.ca. No one will be discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. Council members may ask questions of you following your presentation, but council's function during this public hearing is to listen to the views of the public, not to debate the proposed bylaws and proposed development permit. After the public hearing and concurrent public meeting has concluded, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representations. Your only opportunity to comment on the proposed bylaws is during this public hearing. Council is not permitted to receive further submissions once council has closed the public hearing. Council has received documents which are available for the public to view. A hard copy of these may be obtained from the corporate officer during the public hearing. The documents can also be viewed online at westvancouver.ca/news/notices. Please note that the documents may not yet include items received after noon today. To maintain order and to ensure that everyone has a reasonable opportunity to be heard, here are the rules of procedure. A speakers list has been established. For those attending in person, you may place your name on the list, which is near the door, at any time throughout the public hearing and concurrent public meeting. If you're speaking from prepared remarks, council requests that a copy be provided to the corporate officer. To participate via Zoom, please phone 604-925-7004. Provide your name and phone number to staff. They will add you to the speakers list. When it is your turn to address council, staff will unmute you, unmute your microphone, and you can turn on your webcam at that time in order to provide your public input. Please note that staff are not in a position to provide you with a specific time slot when you register to speak, so we ask that you remain available for the duration of the public hearing and concurrent public meeting. Council requests that you please begin your remarks by providing your name and your municipality of residence. If you're speaking on behalf of some other person or organization, council requests that you please identify the name of that person or organization. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes and to the subject of the proposed bylaws and proposed development permit. Please be respectful to others. After everyone has spoken once, you will have an opportunity to speak subsequent times to provide additional information if you wish. Please follow the process outlined a moment ago to be re-added to the speakers list. And if you have any concerns about the rules of the hearing, please address your comments to the chair. Mayor Sager, just before we hand it over to staff for their presentation, I should advise council has received one written submission, one report regarding this application, and we're now up to 11 written submissions. The 11th has just been passed around the table. Council did set the date for this public hearing back on June 8, and the statutory notice of public hearing was published in the North Shore News on June 17 and 24 of this year. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ms. McGuire. Thank you.
So good evening again, Mayor and Council, members of the public. So for consideration at public hearing tonight is a proposed rezoning and development permit for a site within the Ambleside neighborhood at 1552 Esquimalt Avenue. This slide shows an artist rendering of the development proposal. On the site, there's an existing 20-story rental building. You can see that on the right hand of the site, and in the center there, you can see the proposed new 19-story strata infill residential development. So this shows the location of the site. You can see it outlined in black there. It's quite a large site, approximately 82,500 square feet in size. It's bounded by Esquimalt Avenue to the north, 15th Street to the east, Duchess Avenue to the south, and then there's a lane to the west that separates the site from the adjacent residential site. As I said, there's an existing 20-story rental building on the eastern portion of the site, as well as underground parking, and there are also surface parking spaces accessed from Esquimalt. Sites in the surrounding blocks are zoned under the same RM2 zoning, and they range in height for apartment buildings in the area from 6 up to 17 stories in the surrounding area. Here shows another artist rendering of the proposed new building that's proposed for the site. One of the key aspects of the proposal is that it would protect the existing rental building in perpetuity on the site. And then the proposal is to build a new 19-story strata infill building on the balance of the site. Overall, the floor area ratio, or FAR, is 3.0 for the overall site. In the new building, there's 126 units proposed, ranging in size from studios up to 3 bedrooms. In total, in terms of parking, the proposal includes 336 parking spaces. So that would include 155 for the rental building, 174 for the strata building, and then 7 shared surface parking spaces. There's also new landscaping and boulevard upgrades, including new sidewalks and boulevards around the site, as well as installation of a new lit up pedestrian crossing at 15th and Esquimalt, and a proposed amenity area on the site on the area on the south, to the south of the proposed building. And I'll show that on the next slide, or in the further into the presentation. The project, similar to other rezoning projects for the district, was reviewed by a financial consultant that was hired by staff, and resulting from that, the applicant is offering a community amenity contribution of $9 million. To deal with parking for the site during construction, because the existing rental building would remain in place, the applicant included a construction parking strategy, and that includes 2 key phases. And basically what it would mean, though, to summarize, is that during construction, there would be 166 total spaces available for the rental building through to completion of the project. And then, as I said, there is this amenity area. You can see a diagram and an artist rendering on the screen here for the area closest to Duchess Avenue, that's just south of the proposed new building. That includes an amenity area that would be publicly secured for access for residents in the surrounding area, as well as residents in the new and existing building. And then there's also a public path that's proposed to be secured through the site. You can see that with the red dotted line there, the access from Esquimalt through to Duchess. The project's being brought forward under site-specific policy within the Ambleside apartment area, and you can see the policy here. And for sites like this one that are larger sites that include existing rental buildings, the policy allows for different maximum densities depending on the residential tenure of the infill development. So in this case, the applicant is proposing a strata infill development at 3 FAR. So that is a variance from the policy. And along with that that's the reason that there is a fairly significant community amenity contribution in this case, but that does require an official community plan amendment. And that's why there's a public hearing that's required for the project. The planning committee reviewed the project at their meeting in March of this year and passed this motion of support with no comments or for modifications or changes to the project. The applicant conducted public consultation, including 2 meetings, one last year prior to submitting the formal application and one more recently in April. Feedback regarding the project has been mixed, with some comments in support, but many comments with concerns. There are 2 reports that are appended to the staff report that the applicant provided that provide more detail in terms of the feedback that they received. But just to focus in terms of the concerns that have been voiced about the project, there was concern about the building height and density, and perception that there was a lack of neighborhood fit for the proposed infill development. As well, there are concerns related to traffic, parking, construction activity, and generally to impacts to surrounding residents. And just in terms of building height and density and neighborhood fit, in staff's review of the project, based on our review of heights in the surrounding area, as well as the separation distance that the new building provides to surrounding immediate apartment buildings, in staff's opinion, the project does fit and is appropriate in terms of its height and density for the site. And then in terms of traffic concerns that have been raised, The applicant submitted a traffic impact assessment report that was reviewed by district engineering staff who accepted the findings. And generally, the report concluded that the surrounding street network can accommodate the proposed increase in traffic related to the infill development. To conclude, subject to public input at tonight's public hearing, we are recommending that council approve the project. As in staff assessment, it would advance key housing objectives by adding 126 new homes, as well as very importantly, securing the existing rental tower in perpetuity. We'd also deliver public benefits to the surrounding area and adjacent to the site, and including a community amenity contribution that's significant in this case. And generally, the site has convenient access to public transit services and amenities in the Ambleside area. That's it for my presentation. Happy to answer any questions, noting that the applicant does also have a presentation.
Thank you, Ms. McGuire. And this might be a question for the applicant, but if the building came forward under the OCP, it wouldn't require any of this process, and they were to do a rental building, how many units would be in the rental building? Do you know?
I maybe would turn that to the
Turn that to the
applicant.
applicant. Fair enough. Councillor Gambioli.
And along those same lines, under the new LAP guidelines, I believe this is the first application to council since those were passed. The FAR is a maximum on strata of 2.7, 2.5. 2.5. And they're asking for 3.
That's correct.
Okay. I have another question around the public access space, that sort of blue section. I don't love that. I don't really, you know, I don't have anything else to suggest, but
Could we ask that of the applicant? I think that.
well, my question just is in terms of the process, you know, is there still opportunity to, until it's actually, you know, almost built, there's still an opportunity to kind of change that format, right?
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, given that that would be part of the landscape design of that area, that is something that could be reviewed and modified through detailed design at a later stage if council was to approve the development permit. Yes.
Okay. And third question related to the retaining the rental. I mean, that's been a building there that's been around for a long time, and it's already rental. You know, what are the chances that that would ever be stratified or demolished anyway? I mean, are we really, is this a sort of a false offer? I mean, I wonder.
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, much like many existing rental apartment buildings in the Ambleside area, they aren't secured through any mechanism in terms of long-term protection of that rental tenure. And so I would hazard, maybe you could ask the applicant this in terms of sort of building longevity, but I mean, it would really be subject likely to the rental stream and the building's age and, you know, maintenance and what kind of state buildings are in terms of their vulnerability for redevelopment, but they aren't protected through any mechanism currently.
You know, I think it's an interesting question, and
But in terms of the, I mean, they're rental now, but if they were ever to be stratified because they're not protected, was that a process to come back through? It's a process to come back through council.
It would only be if there was a rezoning request as far as like if there was a proposed rezoning associated with basically a rental site coming forward as a strata development. But if, for instance, a property owner wanted to build under existing zoning, then the only thing that would be required would be a development permit that would be subject to the form and character guidelines, but there wouldn't be any question as far as securing the rental housing in that case.
Okay, thank you.
I think under current legislation, it's actually might be quite a commitment, because if they ever did want to redevelop that building, they would have to take care of the tenants that are there. It wouldn't be an easy process. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, thank you. So Councillor Gambioli brought up the 2.5 FAR for strata and the 3 for rental. well, or the 3 for the current proposal, but they can build to a 3 if it's rental exclusively, correct?
Through the mayor to council, well, that's correct. The policy would allow for density up to 3 FAR. In that case, the policy prescribes rental or co-op housing for the infill development.
So the question is really just rental or strata, because they can put a building in that size regardless then, correct?
Based on the policy, yes.
Okay, and I do echo, I know it's more for the developer, but I do echo Councillor Gambioli's comments about the blue. So I'm glad to see that that can also be considered later. We could put in pickleball courts. Just kidding. Anyway, I'm just, thank you.
That would be popular with the neighbors. Councillor Cassidy.
Yes, well, it might drown out the sound of the traffic. Anyway, so what we're being asked, or what is being asked of us, is that 185 rental units, which are currently in place, are going to be living through a construction site for a goodly number of years. And so I would like to know what is going to be done for them during these future years. The building itself is tired. The building itself has various decided shortcomings. And I am wondering what the proponent is prepared to do to facilitate the improvement of the building and to make life a little bit better for the individuals who are living in those buildings and are going to be listening to the noise, the fumes, the dirt, etc., of a construction site right next door.
Councillor Cassidy, I'm going to hold your question, very fair, and I'm going to ask the applicant to answer that. I don't think Ms. McGuire could properly answer
Thank you.
that. Councillor Gambioli, please.
One more question. Can staff guesstimate, or maybe the applicant knows better, how many actual square feet is that extra 0.5 FAR?
Oh, I'd have to go into a bit of math. I could do that on the side and come back to you maybe.
I
That'd be
think
great.
the applicant may well have that information as well.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. McGuire? Thank you very much, Ms. McGuire. We'll ask the applicant or their representative. I believe they're gentlemen over there. Recognize Mr. Wall, and I assume this is maybe the architect.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Share.
Thanks for joining us this evening. And sir, I'm going to have to ask you to introduce yourself. I recognize Mr. Wall.
My name is Jörg Greifenstein. I'm the project architect.
Jörg.
Jörg Greifenstein.
Okay. Thank you. I'll work on it. Oh, that's embarrassing. Thank you. Mr. Wall, are you leading the presentation? or-
No, York's going to take you through the architecture and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thanks very much.
Okay, so the proposed infill site is located within the district's official community plan, Ambleside apartment area. And our site is specifically highlighted as one of 3 designated infill sites with the opportunity to deliver new housing while preserving the existing rental stock. The site is within walking distance to commercial corridors, schools, and parks, and very well connected with public transit. The existing building on the site is a 20-story tower built in the 70s, influenced by West Coast modern architecture. It is a rental tower with 185 rental units that will be preserved as rental in perpetuity. There will be no displacement of existing tenants. The immediate neighborhood is well established and residential in character, with a mix of 6 to 17-story buildings. The West Vancouver Planning Committee supported this application with no recommendations for changes. Planning committee members noted that the proposed infill tower is placed in the best possible location on the site to minimize its impact on the neighboring buildings and at the same time provides a significant publicly accessible green space. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. The new infill tower footprint is carefully positioned to accomplish 3 objectives. First, allow for efficient parking and phasing strategy, minimizing impacts on neighbors during construction. And second, create an inviting and diverse outdoor amenity space that receives as much direct sunlight as possible and is also accessible to residents as well as the neighborhood. And most importantly, maximize the separation between buildings and minimize view impacts for neighboring properties. We minimize the width of the north facade to maximize views through to the water. Tower separations to the neighbors were increased to a minimum of 30 meters or 100 feet. The image to the right shows that the proposed separation distances are within a typical range for the immediate neighborhood. We have limited the view impacts as much as possible. However, as with every development, there will be some impacts on views from neighboring residences. This slide shows view changes for the neighboring buildings to the north. Roseview Plaza residence views are shown in blue. The shaded blue areas are preserved water views, and the dashed blue outline identifies the lost view. The top right rendering shows the approximate view with the new infill tower added. Cedar Terrace residence views are shown in yellow. Again, the shaded yellow areas are preserved water views, and the dashed yellow outline identifies the lost view. And the bottom rendering shows the approximate view for Cedar Terrace residence with a new infill tower added. In either case, over 50% of water views are preserved. And this slide shows view changes for the neighboring building to the west, as well as to the existing building on the site. The ocean views from these 2 buildings are not affected, but some north-facing units will have a reduced mountain view. The West Shore Place tower views are shown in blue. Again, the shaded blue areas are preserved views for ocean and mountain, and the dashed outline shows the lost mountain views. The bottom right rendering shows a view of the new infill tower added, confirming that water views are not affected. And the views from the existing rental tower on the side are shown in yellow here. And the top rendering shows a view of the mountain views. To minimize pressure on street parking and neighborhood disruption, we developed a phasing strategy, main on-site parking during construction. The existing parkade currently extends over the entire site and provides a total of 176 parking stalls. In phase 1, we will demolish half of the existing parkade to build a new parkade for the existing tower. During this phase, we will provide 166 parking stalls on site for the existing residents. In phase 2, the new parkade for the existing tower will be complete and providing 155 parking stalls. And that is more than the 150 stalls currently used by residents. So everybody currently renting a parking stall will continue to have a parking stall in the new parkade. And in the second phase, the remainder of the existing parkade will be demolished to make space for the new underground parkade or the infill tower. Once complete, the new parkade will provide 174 parking stalls for the new infill tower. And in total, there will be 366 parking stalls, including 7 surface parking stalls for both towers to share visitors, car share, and delivery. In short, there will be no gap in providing on-site parking during any phase of the project from demolition to project completion. We do recognize that the lane will get busier with the added 126 extra residences. To help alleviate potential congestion, we are proposing a few additional measures. We are reducing access points to the underground parkades from 4 existing entrances down to only 2 entrances, which will help streamline traffic flow in the lane. And we are also creating a lay-by adjacent to the lane to keep the lane traffic flowing during garbage pickup and move-ins for the new infill tower. And we are upgrading the existing surface parking lot to allow for 2 large-size delivery stalls. This will keep delivery trucks out of the lane and traffic flow moving. And this rendering shows the accessible outdoor space we're creating for residents as well as the neighborhood at large to enjoy. A multi-use path will connect Dutchess and Esquimalt Avenue mid-block, and this path will be wheelchair accessible. A large lawn area suitable for picnics, play, and rest will be provided, and a bamboo grove will provide visual interest, shade, and separation from the adjacent play zone. And the play zone with soft rubber surface and diverse selection of play equipment provides a space for kids to be active and engaged. And we can talk about the blue color if that is an issue. And through a context-sensitive massing solution, this proposal will add a choice of tenure by adding 126 new strata units to existing 185 dedicated rental units, and also provide a CAC cash contribution of $9 million to the community. The new tower will provide a broad range of unit types from studios to 3-bedroom units. This infill tower will be a meaningful addition to the Ambleside neighborhood, and we do hope that you will support this project.
Thank you, sir. We'll move to members of council first. My question is, if council was not to approve this and you proceeded with the building as a rental building, would it still be 126 units or would it be reconfigured?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
We'd have another serious look at it and determine what's required in the marketplace before we could answer that question.
See,
but the form of development would remain largely the same.
And sorry to ask this rather probing question, but how much do you pay on the existing building in annual property tax to the municipality?
Our property manager is here. Do you have a sense?
Yeah.
Yes, you would have. It's due.
It's due. It's just over 200,000 to the best of my memory.
But no, the reason I'm just curious because you're proposing a community amenity, but I did a basic calculation because obviously the strata units would pay more in property taxes.
Yeah, my recollection is typically double, maybe even.
Is that what it would be?
Yeah.
So if you're currently paying 300,000, this new building would pay. It's interesting. And I came out, I was doing a little calculation. I figure you'll be paying 630,000 in the first year.
Right. Sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Watt, please.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. One of the questions that came up prior to staff was what would be done, what kind of amenities or upgrades to the existing building. And I know it's been mentioned that new windows are going in. How soon are the new windows going into the existing building?
We don't have a definitive time frame. I think I mentioned in the June 8th meeting that we spent about $8 million in capital improvements on the building over the last 10 years, including elevator upgrades, completely replumbed the building, all the suites were redone. And in the last 2 years, we repaired any of the spalling concrete. So this is really the last major piece of work that needs to get done. We haven't gone out for tender yet, so I can't give you a definite time frame.
Okay, but will they be done during, before, or after? Do you anticipate, should this development be approved?
Yeah, it'll probably have to be after, because we're redeveloping especially on the west side, because you can't work underneath people working off scaffolding. So we would probably complete the construction first.
Okay, and presumably those windows then will be more climate friendly than the existing. Are they original windows in the building?
They are the original windows.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I remember doing a walk through there with another member of council, and I know the windows certainly came up in that building, so that's good to know. And back to the landscaping, tree retention. Has there been any consideration outside of the blue? And I know that's not something that has to be determined now, but have there been other considerations just for something more natural?
Well, we can't really retain any trees on site
Yeah.
that are currently there because there is the parking, the existing
Yeah.
parking underneath that we have to redevelop. So it's going to be all new trees.
I guess I was referring more to perhaps replacing, with more greenery, but anyway, that's not something that needs to be determined right now. And I think that's it for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy, please.
Okay, I have a few questions. First of all, the one I earlier erroneously asked of Ms. McGuire. So while your current residents in the rental apartments are undergoing a disruption to their quality of life, how would you contemplate mitigating these issues by improvements to their building?
As I mentioned earlier, we would plan to complete the building envelope upgrades. Tenants that are facing west, who would be directly affected as opposed to those facing northeast or south, would get some compensation that I and the property manager will sort out with them.
Okay, and if they put together a list of deficiencies that they wish to address rather than financial compensation, would you be receptive to such an idea?
We certainly consider it, absolutely.
Okay, now my second question is, why did you situate the building east-west, north-south, as opposed to doing exactly what your current building is, which is east-west?
I'll defer to the architect.
Well, it is.
So you are east-west, north-south, to make it more linear and not block the views from the building behind.
It is slightly more linear in north-south direction, but we're cognizant of the views of the West Shore building. So we're trying to keep it out of everybody's views as much as we can and be as equal as we can to all of our neighbors.
Okay, and my third question actually is a statement, is bamboo is an invasive species. So you need to plant something else other than bamboo in the bamboo grove. You can maybe plant some form of hedge, the Portuguese laurel or such the like, which grows fast and you just maintain it. But bamboo is an invasive species.
According to our landscape architect, most of the bamboo species are invasive. There are species that are not, and we would definitely make sure that because it's above a parkade, that nothing can happen to the structure or the landscape around it.
All right. Okay. Curious to see that one. Why bamboo?
Well, she's not here to answer the question, but I think the idea was just to have something that provides some privacy, yet is also somewhat transparent at the same time.
All right. I won't beat the point to death, but Portuguese laurel would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli, please.
So just on that note, then the upper section of the landscaping is not meant to be public. It's meant to be for the tenants or the owners and tenants, I guess.
The area right around the tower, yes, those are outdoor amenity spaces for residents only. Yeah.
Okay, and so it's the lower section which has that sort of wavy blue right now that it would actually be.
The navy blue and the large grass area.
Oh, I'm sorry, and the large grass area. Okay, so yeah, that's why I'm confused, because you just said that you would be planting bamboo to create privacy. But if it's a public amenity, why do you need to create privacy? I'm not sure.
Privacy between the activities on the lawn and the kids area.
Okay, because what that looks like to me is that it's sort of stopping that from being public. It's sort of making it private so that even though we say it's public, not many people are going to go there who are actually from the public. So anyway, that's why I've got a problem with this landscaping sort of setup for several reasons. I don't think that access is very amenable to being a public space. Okay, so is there a subdivision planned as part of this?
Yes, there is. We will be creating two separate legal lots. if
And
this
why
gets
are you
approved.
doing that?
We want to keep the buildings as independent as possible. We've done many multi-tenured projects. And so you end up with quite complicated cost share agreements. And over time, they constantly get challenged. And, you know, everybody thinks the other party's not paying their fair share. So I think the more we can keep them separate, it'll create a much more amenable environment for everyone. And the other, the other thing is that we want to ensure also that the infill tower can have separate connections to city services. Again, I think it just will make life simpler down the road for everyone, including city engineering.
But the parking is integrated.
No, the parking will be separate.
Okay. And this open public space that we see in this rendering is shared,
That will be shared, correct?
even though they're two separate lots.
But you could do that by a covenant.
Yeah, we can do that by
Yeah,
covenant.
cross
and-
covenant. I
That's right.
assume.
And there's also the public SRW proposed connecting Dutchess and Esquimalt.
Say that last part again. There's
There's
also.
also a publicly accessible
Statutory
corridor,
right of way.
statutory right of way, so that the
Uh-huh.
public can transverse the site.
Right, okay. And we talked about the improvements to the current rental building, which seems to be a very big issue. And you've said that you're going to replace the windows, but then are you going to then apply for additional rent increases to do that?
I defer to the property manager, but typically not. We've probably done 5 buildings in the last few years, and there's been no rent increases associated with it.
Okay, because I know that, you know, according to current legislation, you can apply for a special additional rent increase. Have you ever done that with improvements to your buildings?
We have done that in the past, yes.
You have done that?
Mhm.
And have you done that with this building?
Yes.
Oh, so you have done that with this building the last time that you did any improvements. But you're saying that in the future, to put new windows in, you will not be applying for that?
We can take that into consideration if you wish.
Yeah, I think that the 186 people do wish that that they don't get the new windows that are, you know, that they deserve, you know, paying for the windows themselves.
I guess I would say that 90% of the buildings around us still have those old original single pane windows.
Sure, but you know, as a landlord, I presume you put money aside.
Oh, we do. As I said earlier, we've spent over $8 million in the last 10 years on capital improvements to the building.
Right,
And I have a commitment from our shareholders that we'll continue to maintain our buildings.
okay, because there are annual rent increases that are allowed.
Yeah,
True.
today they're 2.6%. The rate of
Right.
inflation is closer to 3%.
Right.
And utilities and property tax and insurance are generally increasing by 5% a year. So in effect, we're getting less return, but we're committed. We built this building
Right.
and continue to own and manage it. And we want to do so in the future.
Well, I would like to hear that commitment, or I would like to see that commitment in writing that you're not going to be applying for an additional rent increase to renew the windows next year on this building.
Excuse me, I didn't commit to renewing the windows next year.
I'm so
So
sorry.
when
When we do,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you were going to replace the window. Oh, sorry.
I didn't say, excuse me, in response to an earlier question, I said when we do it, it would be post completion of the infill building, mainly due
Right.
to safety concerns.
Okay, right, in the coming years. Okay, I hear you. So, yeah, I would like to get that commitment and I'd like to know, you know, when you're planning to do it in terms of, you know, what year, in terms of a timeline.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you. It sounds like we're all landing on similar concerns for certain your rental building and the landscaping. So just riffing off the window issue, you know, to me, it seems like the new windows would also act as a better sound barrier than the current windows that are in there. And I do wonder if it would be more prudent to put them in before the major construction started, or more worthwhile as far as a compensation to the tenants. If anything, on that west side, yeah. And then with the landscape, honestly, the direction I'm going with landscape, and I know this isn't really our purview, but the current trend in our sociology around the town is we are having increased homelessness. And I don't like the idea of developing sites where you might attract that type of gathering. I would rather see a more secure entire area for the residents, the over 300 residents, for their best use. The other thing we're seeing is living in apartment buildings, people lack the ability to meet with the rest of their family. So to make more meeting space out there, covered meeting spaces for them to enjoy their families and friends, I think would be a more exciting thing for them, as well as perhaps community gardens. And I know we were just reviewing a certain project for the district where we were told that if you do have a public domain like this kids play area, police actually want a clear sight line to that. They want to be able to drive by and see what's going on. So they don't want the trees as barriers. So I don't think we actually get to weigh in on the landscaping plan, but I would hope you take those considerations of council and more so focus on creating a space for those tenants more than anything, and do what you have to do for the public. The other thing that's happening is our beaches and everything are just overrun in the weekends and in the summertime. So this would be some space for them. Okay. Now I'm not sure if Mayor Sager asked this at the beginning, or at least wasn't clear on the answer. What would a 2.5 FAR building look like in strata? What would the difference between a 2.5 and a 3.0 in the way of floors? Numbers of floors?
Okay. It's about 40,000 square feet less, so 5 to 7 floors.
5 to 7 floors, okay. I will applaud your move towards making larger units. There's a lot more talk about creating livability within our units than making them smaller, more affordable. And in fact, the discussion is that they become more affordable because you have less kitchens and bathrooms to put in for each unit. Again, I think this was kind of answered, but it is a question that was raised by a member of our public about the sharing of costs and management when you have one owner has a strata and a rental. And I'm assuming I can understand why you're creating that subdivision, so that becomes clearer. But how exactly do you prioritize maintenance and whatever else you provide to your buildings when you have one strata and one rental?
Well, I think the strata will have its own council, and that they will be managing and maintaining their own building
With their own funds?
with their own funds. They would, and I can see why really, they'd have to have these separated. It wouldn't function because you would have that kind of a problem.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection, so that was good to know. And then you say that the parking is separate, completely separate, so only ownership can go into a gated area and renters in another?
Right, except for the 7 surface stalls, which are shared.
Right. And okay. Yeah, that's my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy, please.
So presently, is the heat in the apartments, is that part of the rent?
Yes.
All right. So technically speaking, you putting in double pane windows is really to your benefit, because as the cost of heating goes up, so would the bill for yourselves in the rental building.
I would assume so, yes.
Right. So although you're trying to present it as advantageous to the renters, it's actually more advantageous to yourselves.
Well, it should be advantageous to everyone.
Yes, but more so than to you, because you're picking up the bill on their heating. So that was just one point. So the public walkway, I don't understand the need for a public walkway, because half a block further on, there is another apartment, and there is a street connecting Duchess and Esquimalt that you can walk down and drive up, and that you currently use it for point of access to your underground garages. So what is the need for a public walkway?
The rationale for it was that the sidewalk on 15th does not meet the accessibility requirements. It's more-
No, to be able to allow the public to cross your property.
I know. What I was trying to say is that the sidewalk on 15th Avenue is so steep that it doesn't meet the standard accessibility
Right.
requirements.
Okay,
And therefore, we're creating a walkway that does.
all
And this
right.
came up in previous public consultations that we had a number of years ago.
Okay, thank you. And with this landscaping, who's going to maintain it?
The landscaping, we haven't actually fully decided where that would get allocated, but typically what I've done in the past is one party, either the strata or the rental, but I think in this case it would be the strata, will be obligated to maintain it, and there would be certain chargebacks to the rental building for their
Okay.
share.
Because as the building is currently, nobody looks after the landscaping and it really has gone rapidly downhill. In fact, it's unsightly. So that's that. And I'm going to steal Councillor Gambioli's thunder. And I'm going to talk about solar panels.
I was waiting for that. I wondered. if you were
Yes,
gonna bring that.
sirree. I've stolen her, probably her last sentence, or maybe her second to last or fourth to last. Is there any contemplation of putting solar panels in your new building?
Yes, we've looked at that because it came up in our June referral meeting. So there will be some opportunities up on the roof. It's just a balance of amenity space for the residents versus solar panels, and how do we, achieve both.
Okay, now is there going to be sort of a separation of class, if I can use that here, where the strata people will say this public space, no, that's ours, we're paying to maintain it, you renters stay off? Or is it going to be understood that this is equally accessible, completely equally accessible to both buildings?
I would imagine that through our negotiations with city staff, there will be a covenant placed on title, which will give both parties access to the open space.
All
as
right.
well,
thank
as
you.
well as the cost share agreement.
And the strata people know that they're paying to maintain the public space.
Well, they'd be paying to maintain it, but there would be a cost share with the residents of the rental building. In other words, the landlord would have to contribute.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli, please.
I'm back for just a minute. I thought of another question. Did you say earlier that the extra half FAR is 40,000 square feet?
Approximately, I think Michelle is going to 41.
41,000. Okay, all right. And so if I do the math, that's approximately $225 a square foot, just for council's information, if we talk about the CAC.
Yep.
Right? So I guess that's up to us to decide if that's fair, but I mean, just in general, you could have come in at 2.5 and wouldn't have had to come to council. So why are you choosing to go this route?
We're choosing to go this route primarily because the economics are obviously better. We have to rebuild the parkade to build the infill tower. The economics don't work rebuilding the entire parkade and building a 8 to 10 story tower. It's just not economically viable.
Well, it's just interesting because it's the first application, really, it's the first development since our new local area plan was passed, and it's already apparently economically unviable.
We would also, may I? We have heard through our recent public consultation, there was less desire for rental as opposed to strata. And we all know the strata market softened quite a bit in the last 2 to 3 years. So we thought, given the fact that we're dedicating the existing rental building in perpetuity, it would create a choice of tenure on the site, making a more holistic community as well.
Okay, so are you prepared to say that you would put in new windows in the existing rental building, at least on the west and north sides, while you're waiting for permits and things to construct this tower?
I can't commit to the timing. As I said earlier, it would really be up to the professional consultants to determine whether that should be done prior or after. And my understanding is you grant approvals very quickly here, so we'd like to get going.
We grant building permits quickly.
And-
quickly. We're a very efficient municipal hall on building permits, aren't we, Mr. Bailey?
But you did say earlier that you're willing to agree that you would not utilize the application for additional rent increases for new windows on the rental.
Yes.
And you're willing to put that in writing before we make a decision?
Well, I suggest council can put it in, well, be up to Mr. Bailey, how you could.
You're willing to sign that in writing?
Through the mayor, I mean, I think at the close of the public hearing, you know, staff could come back with some recommendations on how that could be a condition prior to giving second and third reading, if council chose to go that way.
Thank you, Councillor Watt.
I'm sure this is in the package, but it was a pretty dense document. Accessibility suites. What is, how many are there, or how is accessibility built into the suites on the new building? And I'm curious about the rental as well.
I can't really talk to the rental, but there are no adaptable suites planned right now for the new building, but all the access to all of the suites will be accessible, fully accessible.
Sorry, which will be that last sentence? Could you repeat?
The access to all suites in the new Strata Tower will be accessible. But the suites themselves will not all be accessible.
So I find that curious, given that a lot of people that will probably purchase in this building would be downsizers. Would there be a consideration to create some more units or any units for that matter that have the widened door frames and things that you would expect in accessibility suites? I just think with our aging population here and the number of people that will very possibly or probably sell their homes, reach that point in their lives, that it would be prudent to have that already built in so that's not falling on a new purchaser.
We meet the current building code in West Vancouver in the province. What we would obviously consider especially if we're doing a pre-sale program, that anyone that would want an accessible unit, we could certainly provide that.
Yeah, I would think that that would be essential in marketing the suites, that would be an option. People could have the suite created with accessibility.
Correct.
Yeah. And are any of the suites in the rental building accessible or no?
No, they're not.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cassidy, please.
How many elevators are going in the new building? Two. So you're going to put, I'm sorry, I've lost the number again. How many suites?
126.
All right. So what I'm finding in a number of the existing buildings is that one of the, and of course this is a new building and presumably the elevators will have a very healthy future. But what I'm finding in the existing buildings around town is that one of the elevators breaks and the residents are all dependent upon one elevator, and it takes potentially in some cases up to 6 months for the first elevator to be fixed. And we have an extreme shortage of elevator companies who are capable of fixing these elevators in a timely fashion. So I should think you'd have a lot more than 2 elevators in your building. Because if I'm moving in and I'm on the 10th floor and I'm an old woman, I'm not going to want to hang around and wait for the time period I have to wait to get down there. And I sure as heck can't walk down all those stairs. So 2 is not a good number.
We've had our elevator consultant confirm that 2 is adequate. So we relied on the professionals for that.
Adequate is not a good word.
Sufficient?
If somebody told me I was adequate, I would take as an insult. So I think you should have at least 3 elevators. I mean, you're going to ask for a healthy dollar for these units. And I'm very happy to see the building come in, by the way. I'm not about to say no, but the devil is in the details. And if I'm going to pay a healthy sum of money to live on one of those upper floors so I could have a nice view, I want to know the assuredness that I'm not going to be stuck on that floor, either in the event of, power outage or such the like, that, not power outage, but that one of those elevators goes down and there's only one.
Right.
But adequate is not an adequate answer.
Well, all I can say is that I rely on, my mechanical engineer to decide what size the pipes are in the building, and I rely on the elevator consultant to tell me how many elevators go in.
Well, I can bet you probably your populace will be a lot more reassured with more elevators.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I've just got one, and I'm sure you're anticipating this because I asked it before. And the drawings that you presented don't have power lines in front of the building.
Oh, along, right, We haven't had a conversation yet with BC Hydro, so.
Please have it. Taking down those power lines is a huge community benefit to everyone.
Well, once we get it approved, we can have those conversations.
Well, it's going to make a huge difference to the streetscape. I was just there back in the 80s when we took all the power lines down in Ambleside in the business district. And it's amazing how much nicer it looked.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, let's now turn to the public, and thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. And how long is our speakers list?
Mayor Sager, we've got 3 names on our speakers list. The first 2 are in the gallery and the third name is online. The first name is Gary Andrushak, followed by Ansabel Pronich.
Thank you. Mr. Andrushak. Thanks for joining us this evening. Nice to see you.
Thank you. I assume you can hear me?
Yeah, we sure can.
My name's Gary Andrushak. I live at Suite 501, 650 16th Street in West Vancouver. Your worship, member of council, I make my comments today as the president of the West Shore Place Strata Council. Our 64-unit apartment complex is likely the most impacted by the wall development, given that we're directly across the lane from the proposal. I should add to that, in my capacity as a member of the West Vancouver Planning Committee, I recused myself from the discussion and subsequent vote when the proposal was considered in mid-February of this year. And I did that because I knew I wanted to speak here tonight. First, I wish to state that our Strata Council in no way opposes Wall's right as a property owner to redevelop its site. That said, we ask that you carefully consider the context of the proposal. In my many years as an urban designer, both nationally and internationally, I've come to realize that when residents say they oppose density, they're likely saying they oppose building height. Our preference for the Wall site would have been one that was introduced just after the pandemic, whereby 2 mid-rise, mid-height apartment complexes, one fronting Dutchess, the other fronting Esquimalt, were floated through the process. The advantage of that notion was that at 6 stories, it could be built using wood frame construction, could have street-facing townhouses at its base, and to the developer's benefit be phased over time as one apartment, then the other. But if that idea is off the table, consideration of the proposal before us should focus upon compliance. In other words, a compliant market, whoops, my watch is talking to me, I'm sorry. It told me earlier that my heart was beating faster, but anyway, Apple smartwatches aside. In other words, a compliant market condo development at 2.5 FAR rather than the non-compliant 3.0 FAR application before us. To paraphrase Councillor Gambioli at the June 9th council meeting, it is ironic that the first proposal before you, following the years-long Ambleside local area plan process, should attempt to skirt the planning bylaw out of the gate by asking for more density. I really think that is an issue here tonight. I've had many clients in the past staring down expensive land costs trying to balance a development portfolio, but surely land costs cannot be a contributing factor for a request of 20% more density. Wall has owned the land since the early 1970s and amortized its cost early on when it built its rental tower fronting 15th Street. My suspicion is that the developer is taking advantage of a tough market to squeeze additional density, thinking perhaps that a request for extra units will somehow solve housing affordability. It won't. Market condos in West Vancouver tend to have price points at the top end of the housing market. The beneficiaries of this non-compliant proposal will be Wall and Wall alone. Nearby residents will be the losers of this additional building height. Last, while I recognize that the district will lose community amenity contribution monies proportionate to the reduced size of the development, the measurement for approval of 1552 Esquimalt should be on public benefit and with respect, not any mercantilism of the district and the developer combined. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor.
The next speaker on the list is Ansabel Pronich.
Sorry.
Not sure if I'm supposed to speak on the 2 minutes, but might as well speak. Is that okay?
Sorry, what did you want to speak on?
About our community.
The which, sorry?
I want to introduce myself because I'm planning to run for a councillor in the coming election.
Okay, well, that's great, but we don't do that here. This wouldn't be an appropriate time to do that. And actually using the council chamber for politics is not something people do.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. We do get people who like to come and politic in the municipal hall. It's not we get complaints. It's not a good idea. The next speaker.
Jason Yang is online. And it looks like he will rejoin as a panelist. Mr. Yang, you should be able to unmute your microphone and turn on your webcam if you wish. You have 5 minutes to address council.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, can you hear me right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. My name is Jason Yang, and I and my wife Eva, we are the owner of Farm to Table Market in West Vancouver. We've been in West Vancouver, Ambleside in business for 15 years. I'm here tonight to strongly support for the proposed OCP and zoning amendments for 1552 Esquimalt Avenue. So as a small business owner, our views are very simple. More buildings and more housing means more customers. As of right now, West Vancouver's business districts are facing a quiet crisis driven by stagnant demographic growth and critical shortage of diverse housing options. Sadly to say, our customer base are aging and shrinking. And the vibrant multi-generational foot traffic that once sustained Ambleside is visibly diminishing. I'm speaking tonight because this infill application provides a direct private sector solution to the exact challenges that our commercial community faces every single day. Let's talk about one challenge that we face to run a business in West Vancouver. Staff recruitment and retention. Every week, local business owners are forced to reduce their operation hours, limit their service, or even stretch their existing teams to the breaking points that we simply cannot find staff. Imagine a worker, they have to commute from deep within the Fraser Valley, they have to cross the bridge, and just to come to West Vancouver for an hourly shift. West Vancouver loses its competitive edge. But we can't find local staff. So once again, this proposal is adding 126 new strata homes in a mixture of studios, 1, 2, 3 bedroom layouts. This variety creates a viable housing ladder. I'm really excited to see this building going up. And from what I understand, The 185 existing rental apartments is securing permanently as well. So in conclusion, I strongly believe this project helps build a functional ecosystem where people can actually live by where they work. So it actually transforms communities into community members. I also would like to point out that Wall Financial, being one of the great owners in Vancouver, they're also great landlords. Like they gave great support to small business owners like me and my wife. Like we're thrilled to be one of their commercial tenants. Like they're very accommodating and cooperating. And I believe their new building will do greatness in Ambleside. Mayor and council, a community that does not build housing for future is the community that's choosing economic decline. So I strongly urge council to vote in favor of this rezoning application tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time and your leadership.
Thanks very much, and thanks for running a charming little business in our community. I do
Thank
love
you.
to support your business, and you'll be happy to know that at our last council meeting, we approved a 90, how many unit is it? Workforce housing building, 96 units of workforce housing, which hopefully helps that issue. Are there any other speakers this evening?
Maureen O'Brien just added her name to the list. Ms. O'Brien?
Farm to table. Ms. O'Brien, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm just going to follow on the comments that Jason just made. So on behalf of the Ambleside Dundreary BIA, we are pleased to support this residential development. The BIA doesn't typically comment on developments that are not within our boundaries, but this is just so close to our boundaries and it would bring so many new residents to our businesses, which are really suffering from the lack of growth that we've had in West Vancouver, particularly in Ambleside. Our businesses, restaurant services, and community amenities need more people, more foot traffic. This location is ideal because they can just walk to so many of our businesses, easy to catch the bus from where they are. Yeah, basically we just want to support it. We're not here to comment on the design, the height, the architecture, the planning, nothing else, just that this would bring in a lot of people to our community that we need. It would provide some affordable places to purchase that are a little bit smaller than the other developments we've seen, like Grosvenor and Pierwell that didn't happen, or the Cressy building. So this would be a place for people to downsize or young people to buy their first homes. And those are the people that would work and support our local businesses. So on behalf of the BIA, we do support this development.
Thank you. Councilor Gambioli, you've got your mic on. Is that a question for Ms. O'Brien? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Gambioli?
Sorry, I just keep thinking of more questions. So just to confirm, I guess staff could help me with this one. We saw the diagrams in the staff report, I guess, from the east, north, west, all the sides. So I realize it's 19 stories, but it looks like this would essentially be the tallest, where it's located, the tallest building in the area.
Through the mayor, Councilor Gambioli, that is my understanding from dimensional height perspective. It would be somewhat taller than the existing rental building. Just one thing to note about the 19 stories is the reason why that is because there is amenity space on that 19th level. So the top level isn't, residential units on that level. But yeah.
Right. And with solar panels, it'll be even a little taller. Okay, so here's my last question. I think I promise. So as the mayor just mentioned, we are going to have a site under construction just north of here, hopefully soon, relatively soon, or even at the same time. So the residents between those two sites are going to be very squeezed and uncomfortable with all of the construction related traffic and noise, et cetera. So this is a very dense site and, you know, given the current parking challenges in that area, what are the plans for the location of the, you know, offices and trailers and people who are working on the site, parking for them, et cetera, et cetera? Is there a plan to bring in people from a centralized location? We asked this question related to Baptist housing as well, because this is a very tight spot. And if there's two, you know, locations under construction at the same time in the same block, essentially, this is going to be a big problem.
Yeah, through the mayor, and thanks for raising that. We'll be working on the details of that plan, you know, if and when this is approved. In other scenarios, and I expect we do this here, we would have opportunities for there to be staging areas where, you know, staff and people who are working on the site could carpool in from different zones. We're also aware of the two sites, and so we want to carefully monitor them. I don't have a definitive answer for anything right now because we don't exactly know when construction is going to start. So typically what we do is we look at those, we carefully monitor them. We adjust if we need to. We talk to them, we work with residents to make sure that those issues are addressed.
I think that really is extremely important. You know, if they could be staged from the empty parking spaces on the roof of Park Royal or somewhere, but there's no way they disrupt all of Ambleside to think all these people would be able to park around this site. Ms. McGuire, anything else on that?
No, Mr. Bailey covered it. Yeah, I mean, those plans are typically developed, as Mr. Bailey said, when we know construction is going to begin and associated with the building permit, but our staff do look at those very carefully and would be looking to coordinate those two projects if there was a conflict in terms of the timing.
And
Or overlap, I should say.
thinking about Mr. Andruszak's comments about the two lower buildings, did you do any analysis? I can appreciate lower usually is nicer, but wouldn't they impact the residents even more in this because they would block more of the people? I mean, sure, it's great if you live on the top floor, but if you're on the 6th floor or below, wouldn't that impact your view a lot more?
It could do, definitely, with a mid-rise building for the buildings to the north. I mean, like you say, it would be dependent on where the units are adjacent to the site in terms of view blockage. But with a mid-rise building, then that does cover more of the site typically, and that was true of the previous proposal.
See, I didn't see the previous proposal, but
There's been many iterations kind of through the years with this. And there was one, as Mr. Andruszak said, there was one that was a mid-rise infill option that the applicant did come up with some time ago now.
interesting. Councillor Cassidy, please.
So, Ms. McGuire, could you please tell me why the applicant feels that he needs this density in excess of the local area plan?
I can't speak for the applicant.
Sorry,
Yeah,
we can't
I
speak
think
for the
that's something for
applicant.
the
No,
applicant. I don't
we
think
can
we're
ask the applicant back.
All right, if you would please.
Yeah. Any other
Because
questions?
this is the second building we're having that there's a local area plan in effect, and yet both applicants have gone in excess of the allowed density under the local area plan. And I find that concerning.
Would the applicant come back, please? What's the other one?
Horseshoe Bay, the hotel, Horseshoe Bay. How soon we forget.
Mr. Walt, can you address Councillor Cassidy?
Sure. Council may recall that our original proposal or intent, and certainly what we discussed with staff, was a building of similar form, height, and density, but all rental, which would be 100% compliant. So the application you see now, virtually consistent with what that proposal would have been. Through the public consultation process, we realized there was a significant appetite for strata versus rental, home ownership versus rental. So we pivoted, talked to staff to see whether we could bring forward an application, and they outlined the process, which is what we're in the midst of now. As I said earlier, a strata 2.5 or a rental at 2.5 FAR just doesn't work, mainly because of the costs of demolishing and reconstructing the entire parkade.
Do you have to demolish the entire parkade?
Yes. Or we put in a lot less parking. The other thing we heard through the public consultation, original plan was less parking, and there was a lot of pushback on that. And so therefore we came up with this design, which provides more than one stall for the strata building and preserves the existing number of stalls for the rental.
Councillor Watt, please.
I haven't finished, Mayor Sager. So I just wanted to say there's a lot of food for thought this evening, and I remain completely open on the subject. I'm rather surprised I haven't heard directly from some of the residents who live there, but I definitely hope that you're a lot more generous in the time that's coming as far as the conditions in that current building. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Watt, please.
Yeah, thank you. I won't ask anybody to pull the map back up, but there is, by building a taller, more slender building, there's not the opportunity or option with the parkade underneath it at some point in 10 years, a third building could pop up on that site.
No.
No.
Yeah, okay, I don't have it in front of me. I haven't unfortunately memorized the map well enough, but yeah, thank you.
We couldn't meet the limiting distances between buildings with another.
Yeah, that's what I suspected. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, any other people who have signed up for speaking? I'll now ask, are there any other members of the public that wish to address council on this public hearing? I'll ask for a second time. Is there anyone else who wishes to address council on this public hearing? And I'm going to ask a third time. I see some people at the back that they're kind of thinking about it, but please, this is the opportunity and the time to ask the questions. So no, please come to the microphone. No, don't be nervous or shy, please. This is the time to ask the questions, and please. Yes, sorry, please have a seat. And it is important for people that are in the audience in the gallery tonight. If council closes the public hearing, there is no more opportunity to ask questions or to comment to members of council. Please.
My name is Barb Cooper. I'm in West Shore Place on the 16th floor. And I've been a resident there for almost 30 years. And my first question is, has most of the people or all the people on council walked around our blocks during the day to see how there is no parking? The fire trucks can barely get through Esquimalt. We're going to have construction vehicles, cement trucks waiting to dump their cement. It is going to be a nightmare. I'm sure you're not going to put them on 15th Street. So they're going to be in our alleyway, Duchess and Esquimalt. I can already see everybody waiting to get out of our parkade and they can't get out. So I'm curious to know if you would walk around, see how tight the parking is in this area. It is so over. People that work at Fresh Street are here. Municipal workers park on the side streets. I see it every day. I walk my dog. Sorry, I'm no good at public speaking.
You're very good, actually.
Okay. My second question is, they mentioned a garden party deck on the top of the building. I couldn't believe it. We can't sleep at night because of the wall building that's the rental has parties, and there's no municipal, there's no bylaw officer you can phone, and they party till 1 a.m.
Where do they party?
From the building.
Oh, in the building,
In
you
the
mean in
building.
the suites?
Yeah, in the suites, and there's no security or nobody that supervises the building. You can phone the line and say that, can you please shut down the party that's on? You don't know what floor it's on. And you can't phone a bylaw officer because they don't work at 11 o'clock at night or 1:30 in the morning, and yet we can't sleep. So having a garden party is just an absolutely no-brainer. You know, it's unfair to us we pay for our units, we pay taxes, we're residents. and I've been there for 30 years. So those are my two, but the parking is, I don't think you guys realize how bad the parking is in this area between Fresh Street and everything else.
I think actually we do. And one of my closest friends lived in your building and was the president of your building for a short time. And so I'm really familiar with it. Yeah.
So parking is the issue. Thank you.
Councillor Cassidy, please.
That raises another question I seem to be asking a lot, and relative to our previous speaker's comment about noise. So at the foot of 19th on the seawall, we have a quiet garden that was not previously a quiet garden. It was just a public place to relax and enjoy. And unfortunately, because it was such a lovely location right on the seawall, it became a place where people came to celebrate family gatherings, parties and such like, and created such an echo effect because of how the other apartment buildings were constructed around it. So I'm wondering about the use of this public space on the ground as a site for parties and how other people in other buildings might feel about it, never mind the two buildings that are on the site. Because we have seen issues with public being able to congregate in certain areas. And I'd be thinking with towers, the sound would translate to other locations.
Fair question.
I mean, it is, I don't want a public park. If I buy in your building, for example, should it go forward, I don't want public gathering space, 8 floors down, or should I be so lucky, 18 floors down?
What I was going to suggest, because there has been quite a bit of focus, that it's completely appropriate for our staff to draft a response on how some of these concerns can be addressed, and bring that report back. We can't receive further public input, but we can receive a report from our staff in how these issues can be addressed. Have I got that right, Mr. Bailey?
Yeah, sure. Through the mayor, staff could provide just a quick memo talking about how we deal with things like noise and disturbances in parks and how we might be able to mitigate those in this neighborhood.
And the suggestion I was going to offer on the landscaping issue that Councillor Gambioli has brought up is that we could identify that and ask that to go back for specific review by the planning committee, who could hear these concerns and look at the details. That's an issue on detail. On the just the I think it addresses Councillor Cassidy's comments and the Councillor Gambioli's concerns about the blue and also the planting. I think all of those kinds of details.
Sure. Through the mayor, staff, the director of planning is delegated the ability to make modifications to the development permit. In doing so, I'm able then to refer those things to the planning committee and to other groups for input and comment.
Okay, Councillor Gambioli.
Just say too that it would be worthwhile talking to your colleagues in the Parks Department, because this is really a park. It's a public park. It's essentially what it's supposed to be. And I imagine that our Parks Department staff know more about what's needed, in certain areas than the planning committee. Do you know what I mean? Not to say that the planning committee should look at it, but we know what our current needs in the community and in Ambleside are. And so I'd like to, hear what maybe some of their expertise has to say.
I apologize. I have an additional question for Mr. Wall that I'd like to put to him, please. So, Mr. Wall, you indicated that it's not economically viable to build this at a 2.5 FSR. So is what you're saying to council, to us, is that you would build is it economically viable to build a rental building? You're in the rental business. Mm-hmm. Would you build this building as a rental building?
Potentially, depending on market conditions. Our pivot, for lack of a better word, was really the public input we got back, saying, could you consider making this all strata? We looked at it, we certainly could. And that's how we came up with the analysis of making a $9 million CAC contribution to the district. So it's a bit of a trade-off, but rental can work. As previous speakers have said, we have no land costs anymore, so it could certainly work.
You've got to be about the only person that could probably build something today that might work. Anyway, Councillor Cassidy.
If it goes as a rental building, are they still going to go at the same FAR?
But it would, yeah, no, the rental building, we don't need this public process for a rental building.
No, I comprehend that, but it's still the same FAR.
Yes.
Right, so we're no further ahead on that one. But an interesting point that Councillor Gambioli brought up is this is not going to be a public park. This public space is not going to be a public park. In other words, we're not about to create more work for our Parks Department to clean it and maintain it. I thought it was going to be maintained by yourselves.
That is correct. It is to be maintained by Strata and the rental owner. And the background to the public access, this came out through discussions with staff. They felt there would be some opportunities for public access. A simple solution to some of these concerns would be to simply not have any public access. We're agnostic to that, so we're completely open.
Because the public can go up that driveway or laneway that exists currently.
That's correct. Yes.
So I don't see the need necessarily, but that's me, and there's lots to think about before deciding. Okay, thank you.
Except the accessible walk is valuable. I mean, I think I can see that. Councillor Watt, please.
Yeah, so regarding this public park or not public park question for Mr. Bailey. We have a lot of strata buildings in the municipality. Is there any other example close to this?
Through the mayor, I think one of the best examples that I could think of is Horseshoe Bay, the sanctuary. I mean, that's a large strata building. They have fairly significant public access through that building and then down onto the public, waterfront that then leads into the public park. So I think there are, various places where the public has been invited onto, adjacent, public boulevards.
So yeah, that's quite a different example. I mean, I was actually in that sort of breezeway today, and I'm about the only person I've ever seen wandering through it. So it's not exactly the kind of space that's inviting everybody to come with their picnic basket.
But the foreshore is.
Right, yeah.
The foreshore is now where the community market is, so.
Yeah.
That is private property. I think we're fine. Thank you, Mr. Wall.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I was having a blip on sanctuary versus the other galleries, yeah.
I'd like to ask again, is there anyone here who wishes to address council? Mr. Coyne, thank you. And
Sorry, I hadn't planned, but Alexis Chacoine, I live in West Vancouver. I actually do really appreciate the outdoor space that's been created. Many of these places, of course, do have balconies, but a lot of people want grass between their toes, and if not between their toes, on a successful path with their wheels. This blue strip that is in the plans, I haven't been able to take a good look at it. In most cases, it's an accessible playground. Is that the case? Yes. Okay, but the rubber coating makes it a little more approachable for kids and playing. Does that, I mean, I know there's big talk about color. Can that color be dampened down so we still keep the play area? Yeah, so I think we're hanging on to the color too much. This is something that, as the staff has said, this is something we can work through as it comes to the detailed design process. And it still will be a play area outside, and there's gonna be a lot of kids in the building, and they don't want to hang out on their balconies. They want to come downstairs and go and play outside in the grass or the play area. So just be careful about pulling back on that outdoor space, because I think these residents, if not the public, the residents will definitely take it up. Thank you.
thanks very much. And I saw someone else. Is there someone else who wishes to address council? Yes, please.
I just wondered if.
Could I have to ask you to come to the microphone if you're able. No, if it's difficult, no, you can speak from there if it's difficult. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
If you have a public space, how, between two buildings, how are you going to monitor or mitigate the people that want to congregate there and smoke, whether it's cigarettes or marijuana or vaping or whatever, because they can't smoke in their buildings. And currently, people from our building and from other buildings I can see go over to the open spaces where the new building is proposed to be, and that's where they go and smoke.
Oh.
Or else they go down to the Rotary Lane and smoke there, and your Parks Department is always cleaning up there. If you have a public space close to buildings, that's where the smokers are tending to congregate. And when it's a more confined area with two buildings, then the smoke takes longer to dissipate. And the marijuana smoke late at night just drifts up into other people's apartments.
I take it you live on the east side of your building then, do you?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't hear well, so
that's okay.
I can't respond.
It's okay.
But I'd like people to consider that too, because it is an issue for those of us who are wakened in the night or just have to pass through areas that have smoke. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Can we have your name for the record, please?
Thanks very much. I'd like to ask if there's anyone else who wishes to address council on this public hearing. So for a second time, is there anyone else who wishes to address council? And a third and final time, is there anyone else who wishes to address council? Seeing none, I will turn it over, Councillor Gambioli.
Sure. But I did have just one more point to make on the landscaping plan. Sorry, just to beat this dead horse to death, but it's not the color I'm concerned about. I was just trying to describe the space, you know, because it is shown as blue. It's the use. I'm wondering if that's actually the best use, if that's what we need. That's a really interesting comment about the smokers. I hadn't thought of that. But to me, it looks like it's a very open space cleared of trees, for example. There's very little, there's, you know, if it's hot summer day, it's going to be wide open and, you know, that's actually not great, I think. So that's why I suggested some feedback from our Parks Department. Maybe it should just be planted with trees and bushes and local butterflies come by. You know, I don't know. That's a very calming idea. I don't know. I'm not the expert, but you guys are the experts. So that's why I would just like a little more thought put into that so that I can feel confident that this plan has got what we need and has got the best ideas rather than, and maybe that's already been done. I'm just not sure. I'm not confident that that research has been done. And so I'd just like to learn a little bit more about that or just feel confident about that. Okay.
Okay, Councillor Watt, please. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, let's just hear from our colleagues and then.
Yeah, I was. Yes, I am. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. And apologies on that last comment. I was thinking more of the breezeway at galleries, but I don't, back to this blue, the blue area, whatever it may be, whatever surface it is, and you look at the grass and the whole air, the way that's contained. When you do look at the sanctuary, it's, people wander through there, but you don't, it's not a gathering space. So, and I do think that those considerations, when you think of smoking and all the rest, that is a very valid comment. So I just hope we do have consideration into how we use this public space and whether we're inviting, crowds of people to have parties or hang out with picnic baskets or to keep moving, enjoy the space. And yeah, anyway, I'd love that. I'm kidding.
Okay, Councillor Cassidy.
So I just want to be clear on this. This public space, piece of land, shall we call it, this isn't part of any form of community amenity contribution.
No.
It's just, well, to tell you the truth, and not that anybody particularly cares about my opinion, but if I were to be a renter or I were to be an owner in that strata, I would want those lands to be for our respective singular use. Again, I look at the park at the foot of 19th and the noise that emanated there once that delightful site was discovered. And I'm going to assume, more than likely correctly, that in a dense area with all those other various apartments, buildings, and 1 block, maybe 2 blocks up from Marine Drive, that once it's discovered, it can well be a location for the public. And I don't want to live either in the rental building or in the strata building and have to listen to all that noise and have no responsibility over how I can mitigate the noise by asking people to go down and please be quiet or respect my privacy or whatever, because they have every right to be there. So for me, I would like those lands to be specifically for the rental building and the strata building, and the responsibility for maintaining them to be in, thank you, and to be no way borne by the district, which if it becomes public, and I'm a resident cynic, that at some point in time that will be passed off to the district to look after. So you're asking for a lot from the people who live in the rental building, and this is a give back to them, and it's so a give to the strata building. They both buildings deserve the right to privacy.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. I think that we've had the public hearing. I think the council can close the public hearing, but we do require a staff report to address the issues that have been raised. And I think Ms. McGuire is certainly capable of doing that and how we could address those concerns.
Yep, agree.
Is that all right? So we will expect a staff report back. Councillor Gambioli.
Recommend that all written and oral submissions regarding proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985, 2018, amendment bylaw number 5465, 2026, proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw, oh my gosh, number 5466, 2026, and proposed development permit 26-012 for 1552 Esquimalt Avenue up to and including the June 29th, 2026 public hearing be received and that the public hearing be closed.
Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Watt. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. So that will come back with a staff report. And I would just again remind everyone that the public hearing is now closed. So please, sometimes people write in after, but we can't do that. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. That concludes our meeting. And I know I promised